Spears and Steinberg.
You know what the it is?
Aries and Andy, Jew and the Jerk.
You know it's time to get this work.
The real raw, gutter, uncut coke. No political corrections.
Always sleep.
Being awoke. We discuss politics and jokes.
Scribe, we lit.
There's levels to this shit. Before you was sucking on your mama's tit.
Aries Spears don't give a
We talk about race a lot, racism.
sexism.
Much love to my loyal bitch bag holders.
Rollers, clip loaders.
We got them in the folders.
The whole world on our shoulders.
Spears and Steinberg.
Yeah.
Do you have one in the chamber?
This O Steve comes to us from Ulysses Buckhalter. This is the O Steve that I said I'll resend. Yo, this dough. I got an O Steve. Honestly, I don't think I still get it for real, but I want to try. LOL. A guy think he sees his wife step into a bar with another man, hastily runs into the bar looking around. He sees a woman at the bar that was wearing a similar outfit. He approached her. She turns around. It's not his wife. He asks, have you seen a guy and girl come in here? The guy was wear a White Sox hat. Another man walks up. Hey, why are you talking to my wife? The wife explains he's looking for a guy in a White Sox hat. The man adds, yeah, and a black jacket. Another man walks up that fits the description. Hey, you're good? Hey, you're good? Are we good? You have a problem? The man asks. The wife and husband explains. The man adds, yeah, but this guy had on some Timbs. They hear moaning coming from the back room. They all walk towards the moans. Simultaneously, the moan from the back, all three people at the bar says, oh, Steve. Play the music. Coming out of that in 3, 2, 1. Hey, man, Ulysses, man, at least you tried, brother. You know? You tried. And in this era that we live in now of extreme moisture, you get a 15th place trophy.
We're here in Timonium,
Maryland.
and there was a dude who came up to me, a really cool dude that listens to the podcast. I don't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but he drives, and he said he's been wanting to send us an old Steve and some emails, but he's afraid because he doesn't write well. He said that that he writes fine, but for you, he's going to get the $10 a lot of money, and he didn't want to get there.
If he's telling you this, he should know proofread.
Yeah, but he said he's still going to make it up. So what I'm saying is,
damn,
dude, you hear people come on this show all the time. Just send in your man. Maybe it's going to get a huge applause break, and everybody's going to be really excited to hear you. So send it in, man. And I know I'm talking to you because we talked about this. Send it in. Send it in.
Yeah, and speaking of sending it in, Aries Spears 45 at Hotmail is the website.
And if you're on that website, you know that you need to go and take care of business, order some shirts from Aries, but then come back over to our page and like and subscribe to the podcast. Yeah. You can't just look at us and not like and subscribe it. Even if you don't like us, like and subscribe it.
And in case you late to the party, yes, the uncensored version of this podcast is available on our Patreon at Spears and Steinberg. You are now watching the censored version. I know it sucks, but gotta make moves, baby. Stone Batten. Do I want to hit Andy over the head just yet?
Yeah.
Let me start out not like that yet. Let me read this one first, and then I'm coming.
So look forward to it.
All right. Chris and Color. Under the Bus. Hey guys, haven't listened or written in for a while, but finally getting back on track, and just wanted to say, goddamn, Andy will always find the white side of things. That guy will shoot the white man bail at any given chance. Arguing on the side of white slaves and white slave master industrialists is a new one. That car analogy, I don't know how you do it, but I appreciate hearing another perspective. Happy to be back, Chris.
I don't remember what I said for a car analogy.
Remember you used the car analogy with the slave thing.
I don't remember what I said though.
You were basically like, if you were not buying but leasing.
Oh yeah.
You might let it get.
No, but I do think that's true. I do think it's true, and some of the numbers back it up that they were a lot of those dudes didn't live through their 7 years. They didn't make it. So yeah, it's just the numbers. You guys, you know what I realize as we talk about this, and I don't speak about these things emotionally at all. Like, I'm trying to put this in perspective of like numbers and stuff. Let me just say this and see if this helps anybody out. I doubt that it will, but I'll say it this way. If we're talking about it emotionally, it's wrong. Like, all the things that have happened to blacks throughout the history of the United States, it's wrong. I'm not justifying it to make it right. It's wrong. There's never been any that's not part of the conversation that I'm having. I'm trying to look at the conversation from the way, okay, there was blacks that were slaves and there was indentured servitude, and then these are these numbers, and I go, hey, we gotta throw this in because rich, elite white men are the ones that ran the country. There was a lot of poor white people that had no say in anything. As a matter of fact, blacks and whites all lived together at that time, being poor and not being well taken care of. I'm not trying to say that this was good or this was right. I was just perspective.
I'm just gonna say this: don't get too long-winded because we got
okay,
a few of these.
Okay.
We got a few of these.
Okay, let's go. Okay. I might have to defer to that statement though.
Okay,
I know on quite a few of them.
Steve Stone Batten, episode 536, Under the Bus, Andy, the Slavery. If anyone ever wondered why slavery lasted nearly 400 years in the U.S., I give you Andy as Exhibit 1. Andy is no racist. Andy tries to see the wrongs when it comes to blacks not getting a fair shake in the present. Andy is far from being a bigot. Yet Andy is a white American who has the built-in reflex to mask all the sins of the country. He didn't own slaves. His family probably didn't own slaves, yet he makes excuses for those in history who did, holding true to his whiteness. Notice how he spoke of blacks who owned slaves. Why? Because it's the unwritten rule to move the goalpost and find someone to blame other than white people of that time. Ignore the work which was from sunrise to sunset. The abuse and threat of abuse was daily. Slaves were made examples of from whippings, hobbling, and any torture the white overseers could come up with. Rapes of women, little girls, men, and little boys were common. When slaves were freed, that was only in name because most slaves were freed with no money and nowhere to go. Then laws were created only for blacks that most still existed up into the 60s, black codes to Jim Crow laws. Those laws were a way to control black people as an invincible chain. They could not go certain places, buy land certain places, live certain places, any normal life, they were held back. Meanwhile, non-Americans coming to this country didn't have the laws against them. Aries to this day, whites cover up the real evils of slavery in America. This slavery was different from any other before. American chattel slavery was not that of the Bibles. Those slaves didn't get separated families and forbidden to speak their language or even given new names. Moses was Moses before he was enslaved, during, and after. Also, slavery as it was supposed to be back then was to work off payment you received. The Pharaoh kept the slaves past the payment point, which is why it was time to let them go. American slavery kept them from birth to death in slavery. Speaking about how good Jefferson was and ignoring his evil is a white thing. Andy tried to make that point, using that thought when Hitler had good too, since he gave us the Volkswagen Beetle. One last point. Comparing Nazi Germany to the American Black Holocaust, Hitler knew everything he did against the Jews was against international laws. That's why he did his best to hide it from the masses. After the war, most Germans in those concentration camps did their best to cover things up. Whatever happened to blacks in the U.S. was pretty much legal. There was no Nuremberg trial for the atrocities done to blacks after they were freed. Matter of fact, it got worse because the KKK came into existence in response to freeing blacks. Andy is a good guy, but he holds that subconscious white cover-up of bad slavery just as good as the Daughters of the Confederacy. My 2 cents. Love the show.
Okay.
I saw you write notes.
No, because you know why I had to write notes? I'm going to tell you. He took 4 conversations and tried to compact it into one. This is what Andy does. First of all, you were all over the place. Because when the last part that I didn't even write down, slavery. I don't even know
About
what it was.
Nuremberg, Germany, the Nazis.
Yeah, he was everywhere. Okay, first of all, I'm just going to start from where I have. First of all, let's start with this. If you're going to understand me, if you want to understand me, you don't have to understand me. If you're going to understand me, first of all, we're going to speak. We're going to speak in two ways. One, and I said this already earlier. If we're going to discuss things emotionally, there's no argument. Emotionally, my heart, what we know, wrong. There. That solves the whole problem of what it is. But if we're going to speak on it by numbers and what we're trying to convey, this is a different kind of conversation. Stop saying 400 years in America unless we're going to say North America. Because if we're talking about the United States of America, we are not have been around for 400 years. That was thrust upon this country by the King of England. Okay, so yes, it doesn't make a difference. But you have to get the numbers right, because if you're going to say America has to own it for what it did. America should own it for every day that it had. But when you say things okay, because then he goes into black slaves and how I brought up black slavery. That was a different conversation where we were talking about why certain people do certain things and why a black man who was freed, a black freed slave, would become a slave owner. And it's not because it was looking at it as a racial or what I'm going to do to someone. It was because that was the way to be successful in this country. And that's why they did it. I wasn't trying to say, hey, look, blacks did it too. That wasn't my point. My point was, yes, blacks did it because that's the way that the path for success in this country was shown to be, and they followed the path for success. It wasn't because they wanted to enslave their own people. It was because that's how they thought they were going to become successful. It's a different conversation. The reason I brought up something... I should have taken better notes on this, and I wrote it down real fast so that I would know. Oh, and then when you say chattel slavery, America, worst slavery, only place to have this kind of slavery. Well, let's talk about that real quick, though, too, because you're right. It was horrible slavery. It was the worst that there had been. It wasn't American. It was North and South American. As a matter of fact, if we talk about the Willie Lynch letters, where did they come from? South America. Sugar, the sugarcane farms. That's where this chattel slavery really started from. That's where the Willie Lynch letters come from on how to control your slaves came from. So this was all over North and South America, who were the worst, had the worst slavery in the world. So not disagreeing with it, but I'm putting it in context to what you're saying because it's factual. Not because I agree that it should, hey, it's okay because they both did it. No, it was wrong in both, but put the context together correctly. Why am I going to tell a half-truth? Tell the whole truth. I'm not disagreeing with you. It was horrible. It should be something that's the black eye of America. After the war against Britain, we had the opportunity to get rid of slavery in this country, and then we wouldn't have this horrible original sin, as they put it, on this country. It would be gone. We would have said, "Hey, no, we did it, and we got past it, and this is what happened." And then we go into. What did we do? We had a civil war. We had the Civil War so that we could abolish slavery. People said no. I love this because I can never get any consensus on this from any groups of people. And I'm watching it right now on TV with this chick that's trying to run for president, Nikki Haley, when she talks about slavery and doesn't talk about the Civil War and slavery and if this is a racist country.
This is the same chick that said this is not a racist country, right?
Yeah, she said that. So we're watching this play out right now. Was the Civil War about slavery? And then I have black people tell me, no, it wasn't because Lincoln wanted. No, it was about slavery. It was about slavery. They succeeded. The succession from the United States happened because they wanted to abolish slavery. And this is what we have to do. And this is what we don't do. Was it a horror? Yes. Should there have been slavery? No. But why was there slavery? We didn't have things like tractors. We didn't have things that could move mounds of cotton. And the currency of the South was cotton, and they needed bodies to do that. That's what slavery was. It had been around for all those years. They bought and invested. I'm not agreeing with it. This is the hardest part because I don't agree with it, but this is the truth of it. There is two different facts here. There's the truth of it and what I agree with.
Well, listen. The only thing I would add is when you go, well, they didn't have tractors and they didn't have the things.
They didn't.
Right, but let me just. But they didn't have the things that we have today, so that's why they were using blacks to be those tractors. Okay, fine. But if that's the case, if you're gonna use them to do that, can you use them without the abuse and the rape? And
Yes.
But they chose not to.
They did choose not to. They chose to make them not human, and that's a bigger problem. That's within the bigger problem. But when we're talking about succession and leaving the country, it's because the North wanted that gone. That's what their investment is, and I'm not saying that it's right, but the investment was we invested in bodies to move this stuff because they didn't have any other way to do it, so that's what they did, and that's what they were going to remove that from the South, and now the South was going to become under the thumb of the North because they didn't have they wouldn't have the income to be a power of in their own states, in their own colonies. That's what it was.
Okay, real quick. You know what I find interesting, and I don't know why this is, but when I read all the comments on YouTube in regards to the last episode with this, everybody was heavily in your favor. Like, Andy's right, blah, blah, blah. But the emails I got is the opposite. I wonder why that is.
I don't know.
Let me read another one. I know you were on a run.
No, because it's not even important. And
it is important.
I'm sure we're going to get to it on the next one.
Right, but I want to call this episode Andy in My Defense.
Andy in my defense?
Andy in my defense. All right. This is from Tyree Morris. Stamped from the beginning. And again, I'm glad you said that because it will be addressed because I'm telling you, we got about 6 or 7 of these. And I don't want this to carry over into the next one. So that's why I'm not trying to cut you off or be disrespectful.
I got it.
I just know that you can go when it comes to this. You when it comes to these rants.
Well, that one I can do it a lot shorter. The other one was a scroll.
Okay. But all right, but I know that when it comes to these rants, you get real John Holmeses. You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
John Holmes, you get real long. That might have been way out of the
way.
No.
It was nice because it's the only time I've ever been that big.
Okay. Tyrese Morris. Hello, fellas. Tyree. I'm saying Tyrese. Tyree. Here with my third email. Damn, nigga. While I am going through the episode again, I came across an episode where you two were discussing a documentary called Stamped from the Beginning. I believe the episode was from 2021. Anyway, I ended up watching it. It was good. It was a good documentary. Definitely taught me things about slavery that I didn't know. Things like Thomas Jefferson's contradiction with slavery and the abolitionists, as well as slavery transitioning from having both black and white slaves to only black slaves. So that the two kind of slaves don't turn against the slave owners. All in all, was a good documentary. A lot of the shows and documentaries that I watch have been from the recommendation of you two. So thank you. Want to keep this email short, but just wanted to thank y'all for the recommendations. Keep up the good work. Peace, Tyree Morris. Yeah, Tyree, I didn't know those things either, which is what I stated in the ep. But let me keep it moving because, again, this is Andy. Andy's on the... He's got some swinging to do. This is from Boozy, Stamped from the Deflecting. I like that title.
I like that, though. That's good.
Y'all need to watch the buck-breaking documentary by Tariq Nasheed. It's definitely eye-opening, and indentured servants were never subjected to breeding farms. Search the origins of the term. I didn't know this, and this made me go, holy. Did you know about this?
No.
All right. Were never breeding farms. Search the origins of the term where black boy slaves were forced to have sex with their mothers and other female slaves in order to breed more slaves, all sponsored by the Catholic Church. You have to admit it's two different circumstances and stop all the deflection. Let's keep it all the way real. Chattel slavery was a doctrine supported by the Pope himself. Yes, an apology was issued a few years back. We all need to be educated, so salute for talking about the subject. On a lighter note, because I really needed to laugh, after the discussion, I watched the TED TV series on. It's 100% hit its target. It 100% hit its target, and it's as funny as the movies. Check it out when you both get the chance. Still a fan of you both, and may not always agree with your perspective, but hey, Hakuna Matata, King Dong versus Pussy Illa is a great title. I'll let y'all do the setup. Peace.
That could be good.
Yeah, I didn't know that, dude. That's
I
crazy.
didn't know that about the Catholic Church. I didn't know that about motherfucker.
breeding.
Yeah,
Jesus.
The Catholic Church is the one that was allowed to make blacks not human at the same humane level of whites. That was from the Catholic Church. So that's what allowed it to. I guess there's no other way to say it, but have the blessing.
Wow. Let me ask you something, and I know that your answer is going to be a defiant no. But before you say no defiantly, really just give it a thought. Because we all think wild, crazy shit, right?
Yeah.
We all thought about suicide, right?
Yeah.
We've all thought about murder.
Yeah.
Right? Have you ever thought about banging your mom?
You know, this is too deep for me to say. I thought when you were a little kid, what I thought, honestly.
Yeah.
You want the real? This is the real answer.
This is why I said before you defiantly go, no.
No, I didn't even defiantly go. No.
Yeah, I was hoping you would do it with the same fervor.
Yeah.
You did. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that as a little kid, like your mom loved you and you loved your mom so much. That's our first love is our mom, I think.
Right.
That you eventually, when I mean, I was probably like 4, but I thought I thought that there was a point where you would grow up and then you and your mom would leave.
Like leave together?
Yeah, that's
Right.
my mom. I'm in love
Right.
with it. This would be the person who's going to take care of me and spend the rest of my life with me.
Right.
I thought that was part of. I thought that might be what was supposed to happen. And then you get hopefully your brain matures and you know that that's not it. But
Right.
I think that's the whole thing about the mother and son that Freud talks about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think people probably do think about it.
Did your mother ever get dressed around you?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. When I was a kid, I remember the first time my mother changed her bra in front of me, and I thought my mom had a great pair of tits.
Well, those are the first hits you see.
Yes, but I never wanted to bang her.
No, but if you don't see your mom's tits,
I mean, I thought some things, but that.
But the first time you see titties, they're going to be your mom's generally,
Yeah.
unless you have someone else's titties that accidentally walk into the room, I guess. But your mom's
Right.
and I guess if your mom has good titties, maybe you can like titties.
The first titties that accidentally walked into my mother's room was my father's.
Well, that could scare you from liking titties, man. That's the problem.
I think that enhanced it.
But no, I honestly, there's a whole psycho development on that, and
Right.
that's our first love is our mom. For most people, that's your first love is your mom. So of course, I don't think that I thought about banging my mom,
Right.
but I did think that she had I thought that I was in love with my mom. I wasn't thinking that way. I thought I was 4. I wasn't thinking about this is the person I'm supposed to be.
Right.
But yeah.
Are y'all still there?
I mean, I'm not going to shy away from anything on this on our podcast.
Have you seen the TED thing?
No, I haven't. Have you?
I'm slightly curious because I know how funny the movies were, but I get attached to things. So I'm like, Mark Wahlberg ain't in it. So,
But
was he really the driving force that made you love that movie?
No,
It was the bear.
But I wonder if that becomes gimmicky after a while.
What, the bear?
Yeah, because you can buy into it for an hour and a half, like this bear's
Right.
alive. But can you buy into it for a series every week?
Sure. If you can buy into Family Guy, that's
yeah,
a cartoon.
Yeah, but it's a cartoon.
Yeah, that to me is like if it's good, it's good.
I'm
hearing it's really good.
I'll be interested to see it. I just didn't know that I would buy into looking at this bear be alive every day.
Right. Cyril P. Slavery bat signal received. Yo, Aries, bat signal received. I learned in high school about a guy named Carter G. Woodson. Oh boy. I'm supposed to be asleep because it's winter, but I'm hungry.
Louis back.
Yeah, he's done hibernating. Oh, do bears come out in the winter? Do they sleep? What is it? They
Sleep in the winter.
and they come out in the summer.
Yeah, spring.
So that joke made sense.
Yeah.
All right. A great historical black man. He did or was involved in research regarding black slave owners and found out that most black slave owners only owned slaves because they wanted to treat family members better and eventually free them. such as wives, kids, and such. But a few evil black slave owners existed and were just called race traders. So Aries was right mostly, and Andy was right slightly. But his... I love this guy. But Aries always says white tigers exist. Exactly. Sad to say it applies to this as well. Much love, Cyril P. And that's what I said. The Sam Jackson character from the Django, of course them exist. That's the white tiger. But I don't believe most black slave owners were brutally beating and treating their slaves like the white ones. Do you think black slave owners were having breeding farms, making black sons they black mothers?
No, I don't. I've never even heard of that. But slavery wasn't just happening here; it was happening in South America. That was some of the most brutal slavery as well, and it's where I would be interested in seeing how it was.
I'm just gonna say, this is where I feel like dude was saying you just moved the goalpost.
No, I didn't move
We're
the
talking about
goalpost.
American chattel slavery.
Okay, so let's talk about American chattel slavery. But it was all through the Americas. Some of the most brutal slavery was happening, like I said, we bring up the Willie Lynch letters. Those are from South America. That was somebody that was South American brought up with these letters to show how to treat your slaves to get control over them. That's what that was. So I'm saying that I'm not trying to move the goalpost. Slavery wasn't about one thing.
Okay, I'm just saying when we stick to the topic, though, we were talking about here in America.
Okay, in America,
black slave owners treating their black slaves just as brutal and cruel and vicious as white ones.
You're right. I probably would say that if there is some black slave owners, some would be wanting to protect the other blacks in it. But I guess you don't give a if you're on the black slave owner who is beating his black slaves.
Yeah, you don't give. But if I'm gonna be the black slave to a black slave owner, I absolutely give a if he's not gonna treat me like the white one.
Yeah.
Do I want to be the slave? Of course not.
Yeah.
But if I have to be the slave,
but then he's really not the black slave owner. It's a different function that he's using so that he can take care of his people.
I'll take that function.
I understand that, but that's not what all of them were, and that is part of it. And that's what I said, and I was slightly right according to him. There is no such thing as slightly right. We're either right or we're wrong. There were blacks that did that.
No, there's a such thing as slightly right.
Like if you only put it in so far, it's not cheating.
Exactly. Exactly. You got to go all the way for it to be a cheat. Beth Spies, new podcast listener. Oh, Steve, do your thing. Hey, just wanted to let you know I am loving the podcast. Beth, and she's a woman. I have been watching the last few days. You guys are great. I can't wait to see both of these in Montreal in April. Hey, Beth, keep listening the way you're listening, but listen to Big Daddy.
Don't listen to him the way
Listen
he
to
does.
Big Daddy.
No.
Don't listen to the
Ego.
Jew. No.
Ego.
I want you to get the best bang for
Ego.
your buck.
It doesn't cost anything. Ego.
Listen to me. Sweetie, keep listening the way you're listening, but the beginning. Open the book from the beginning, chapter 1. And since you're binging, a key word you just used, then binge.
Yeah, binge.
Episode 1 and hurry up and catch up.
Yeah.
It's better that way.
But don't pass the new episodes because she wouldn't even know we're going to be in Toronto if they listened the way you keep saying it.
If we miss a couple Canadian
No,
dollars,
man, dude.
so what?
No.
You know I don't mean that.
Yeah, I know. But no. You want it because you want them to understand everything you're saying.
Beth, when you listen from the beginning, you're going to find out who Shamor is, and you're going to find out why she calls me Big Daddy.
And you're going to find that out anyway.
And you're going to find out why she's the side in the seat with the chopper, and you're going to find out why you will eventually get a badge.
Yeah, and she's going to get that anyway. And she's going to come to the show in Toronto.
When I see you in Toronto, I tell you what, let's work out a code, me and you, Beth. So I know it's you. When you see me and Andy, come up to the merch table with one out, and I will christen you as a new podcast badge holder. I will christen you. I will knight thee.
There is something about one titty out that is than when both titties are out.
Yeah, because you want the other
the
one
one
to come
out. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be amazing if like a chick had one out and I was like Darth Vader, I had the Force, and I could make the other come out using the Force.
The Force.
The Force.
Dude, if you could do that, you just walk around all day like this.
Yeah, just different titties popping out. Girls just,
Guys walking around smacking each other in the head, just trying to get them to...
yeah. Why did I turn into Mickey Mouse? Oh. Waifu Guru TV. The unknown white-on-white violence of slavery. What's up, A&A? Y'all killing it on the pod with this content and the consistency. On the topic of owning slaves, the time period is looked at for being brutal and merciless. But what many people don't know is that this was a society coming off the back end of the Wild Wild West days. This was insane. This was an insane transition period for an unconnected, uneducated people. Andy always pointed out half the picture. This was the way people who had wealth acted back then. Owning property, have a farm, to have a family, and slaves was a sign of great wealth. Aries, just like now, not every white person was rich. Not every white person had an education. These whites were considered no different from black. They were stripped of their family name, sold into slavery, and raped as well, but often became bodyguards or laborers, not slaves. Where is the proof? It's in the slave logs of the owners. Yes, they were treated better. Yes, they were treated humane. When the white slave owner seen the white slave, he took pity for them as it was himself. But understand this, what Andy isn't pointing out, is that they were robbers, rapers, bandits, killers, kidnappers that didn't work on that farm. There were whites who were predatory towards other whites as well as black. A runaway slave could be caught and tortured and give away the location of his slave master's ranch to potential evil white men who cause even more chaos. There was no map quest, no GPS. Wandering around was dangerous. So both the black and white slaves were a way of punishing a small militia to protect your land and your family. So for these places to exist and work, there had to exist some level of peace and comfort and safety. Black life, important, wasn't being managed, which led to black life being sold cheap. The human race has never changed. I believe the phrase, an idiot is born every minute, refers to there is always someone who hasn't experienced this stage in life. So when a horny teenage group of white boys who know white women are dude, after no white women are you put a period when you didn't have to. Let me reread something. An idiot is born every minute. An idiot is born every minute. An idiot is born every minute. I'm gonna keep going till you laugh.
I'm laughing. I really want to hear what this guy has to say.
Okay.
It's kind of freaking me out a little bit.
Okay. When white women are work all week and put their money together, they could literally buy life to do with for their choosing. And yeah, they made some evil choices. Yes, slavery sucked, but I'd rather be here than there. Them other third world countries that are just Flint, Michigan with no internet. Much love, my brothers.
Now, after you did your, I was kind of lost for the rest of the
Right.
But yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I know what he was trying to say.
There was a lot of trying in this.
And I have brought it up. Not most whites were not slave owners. Slave owners were rich elites. They didn't like doing business with other whites that were poor. They weren't definitely doing business with blacks. They weren't free blacks. They were elites. And they brought that same caste system from England over here to the United States, where if you were the upper crust, you mixed with the upper crust. You didn't mix with lower people. And that's what was brought over here. But and blacks weren't cheap. They said the average slave was in today's dollars would be a Honda Civic. I'm just being honest. So how many people could have 10 Honda Civics in their outside. How many poor people could have?
Right.
Some people can't afford a car. These people had multiple slaves. There were people that had money. They were prosperous, and this is what they used to continue to fund their money. When I said that they used humans as equipment because they didn't have equipment, so the equipment was the humans. I think some of the things that get lost is that when I say them as matter of fact and not trying to have compassion in this. I don't think that there should be any compassion in the idea of slavery. It was not a compassionate idea. It's a horrible,
Well, if slavery
idea.
is going to exist, I absolutely there should be an idea of compassion.
It would be great, but it shouldn't exist. People
Right,
should-
but if it's going to,
But I'm not gonna
please
try-
put in some
But I'm not
compassion.
talking about slavery in a compassionate way.
I know. I'm just
Because
being-
I know, but I'm saying that because it's not a compassionate project. This is you have no say over your well-being, your life, who you're with, even and people. The cruelty of slavery. Let's be honest. The cruelty of slavery is you could marry someone and you had to keep that secret because if they didn't want you to be together, they could just separate you, sell off your wife, sell off your husband, and now you don't.
or not sell off your wife, and then there's prima nocta.
Yeah. But there isn't even prima. It's just because there's no say. You have no free will. So anything can be done to you.
Dude, I love that moment in Avengers Ultron when they're all trying to lift Thor's hammer, and Robert Downey Jr. attempts to do it, and he goes, "You do understand that if I lift this, I will be reinstating prima nocta." What a great line for his character, because that's who Tony Stark was.
Yeah. But I think I think that's the mistake that I have made or have not said. It's appalling. I'm not trying to defend it. I'm trying to put it in context to the time, and look at it for most white people at that time did not own slaves. We're talking about a time when there was 13 colonies. We're talking about the separation of the United States. People fought to separate that, to lose it. And then I think again, when I say, and I haven't had any feedback on this, I don't know if you have any in there, the most appalling thing to me is when we get to Jim Crow laws, because we went through a war to get rid of this. And a certain group of people figured out a way to reinstate it in a different way. So that's the biggest, that to me is even more sinful. Because it's the most deaths ever on American soil is the Civil War, or I think is the most. I'm not sure, but I think that was the most. And it was to abolish slavery and to reunite the Union, and to do that, all those lives that passed were for no reason because then they figured out a way to go back and do it, so they died in vain, and that's disgusting. And then we were allowed that to really happen. And we like to say 1960s is when it ended, but it didn't really end to around 70 because all these things were still put into action. And then it's still the backlash of it. We're still going through it today. So no, I'm not. I don't think there's a way for a white guy to discuss it without pissing off a black person. To be honest, I think that's really what it comes down to.
Real quick, I'm going to read this one from Weifu too because it's short and sweet. And maybe Andy is on to something. Sup, A&A. This is from Weifu Guru TV. Just wanted to tap in and say I've been homeless the past week, and I think Andy is on to something. Washing myself with just soap and hand tricks my mind into thinking I'm clean for longer. It all makes sense now. I know you're laughing, but the man just said he's been homeless for the past week.
Yeah.
Insert laugh.
I'm not happy about that, but he thinks he's cleaner with the soap. You're cleaner because then you washed your hand afterwards and you're nice and clean. I'm not happy he's homeless. I'm happy that he figured out a new way to wash his ass.
Dude, forgot to tell you, Andy, I had a dream today that woke me up out of my sleep, and I couldn't stop laughing for 10 minutes. Dude, I had a dream that you and I were performing at the theater, and Shaq came to our show. It was packed. 10 minutes into your set, the lights went out. So you were pissed. So you walked backstage to get this bar stool of a chair, and you were walking with such anger and disgust. And when you went to go put the fucking chair down, you miscalculated the length of the stage. And you and this chair fell off stage, and the stage was as high as the one in Chicago. Man, you hit the ground with such a thud. Shaq fell out of his chair and was rolling around with you on the ground, dying laughing. And when you got up, your glasses was off and you knocked out all the front of your teeth. Andy, when I tell you, I woke up, I couldn't stop laughing, dude. The fall was so violent. And when you hit the ground, you went, oh, dude, oh my God.
You know what I think this is? I think this is you having the dream that the moment of us when we're going to be at the Hulu Center in Madison Square Garden on, what was the date?
May 19th or 18th.
May 18th or 19th. You guys can look it up. It's on Aries.
Yeah.
I think that that's in your head. That's you saying this moment may be too big for Andy, and that he's gonna come in and
No.
he's gonna miss the stage and he's gonna fall and break his ass on the ground and knock out all his teeth that same night. I think that's what this is. That's what this is saying,
Dude. Oh my God.
I think that's what this is.
It was so vivid, dog. Okay.
I wish you could. We could animate that because that would be funny as
Oh
well.
my God, it was so violent. Richard J. Patreon question for Andy. Hey guys, I've got a question for Andy. So Aries, go sit in the corner with a bag of candy. Andy, several episodes back, Aries talked about his pre-gig warm-up, wearing headphones with a "Do not approach me" from the rear sign strapped to his back. Andy, what is your pre-gig warm-up routine? Secondly, for the both of you, when are you coming to the UK, you suckers, or something? Come over and see us. Love you both. J. Cardiff, Wales. Well, before I give Andy the floor, I am desperately trying to get to the UK. I would love to get to the UK. I've been asked this question several times. I'm just hoping that when we get to the UK, I could stay at a friend's house. Cocksucker! Are you there?
Are you guys gonna talk basketball?
Brandon Cocksucker!
Gonna talk basketball? Talk Jordan?
No, because I heard that he's got all his windows gated up, so he can't jump out of them when the conversation starts. Go ahead. You have a pre-gig warm-up?
You see me. I don't have any pre-gig warm-up.
Nah, he just sits around and eats matzo ball soup.
No, I absolutely am just angry that that I'm not going to do well. that's my pre-game warm-up. I like to check out the crowd once, like kind of about a half an hour before, like when we first get to the venue. Mm-hmm. But then I like to go in and have something to drink and get ready. I don't really think that much about it. I mean, I'm different. I think a lot of people have something else that they do. I just don't. I used to do this thing where I'd jump up and down for a few seconds trying to get my blood going, and it's just like, no.
Really?
Yeah, I don't do that anymore.
I found it. This is what I was looking for that I wanted to play yesterday, but I found it now. Curtis Singleton. Jadakiss tells Jordan secret Jordan rules to meeting people. Yo, A&A, I saw this clip in Aries. I immediately thought of you and how you would prepare yourself before having a formal meeting with MJ. Anyway, fellas, keep up the good work. Can't wait to see you again next time you're in Philly. Cocaine Kurt. Let's give this a listen.
He looks you up and down before he really... What you got on determine how many words you gonna get from him. So if you got one of the competitors on, he might just give you a fist, an elbow, or a head. If you don't got Jordan brand or Nike on, Nike still might get you a light short sentence, but it's gonna get you an If you see the symbol, your conversation can be a little bit more extensive than. Because I know you got one of the enemies on, but I had a rugby, a Jordan ride, everything. It's crazy. I had Jordan everything. Yo! Had all the Jordan rugby. Boy, you look good, boy. So you look good, boy. What you need? I'm like, what you mean? What you need? Everything. You know that was next. I need everything. He looks you up and
Dude, how come you don't do Jadakiss?
You know, a lot of people would say I sounded like Jadakiss, but they would say I sounded like Jadakiss the way I sound right now. And I'm like, I don't hear that at all.
No, you don't. It's not gravelly enough.
Right. But, when I do it,
Yeah.
easy what you got on. So maybe that's something I might have to put in the wheelhouse.
Yeah. No, that's funny as fuck, man.
Yeah, dude, let me tell you something. I would be so nervous to meet this dude. I feel like I'm walking up to meet, the scene in Malcolm X when Denzel meets Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, for the first time. And he's just leaking from both eyes. And he's humbled and he's hunched over and he's walking slow. You are a drug dealer with pimp and now you are. I'd be like that, nigga. Like, how's this nigga going? You know what I mean?
What's funny, because we don't have royalty. We
Right.
never had royalty.
Yeah.
This is America. But we have royalty.
Right.
But it's given like through by our feelings of certain people. Like,
Yeah.
and Jordan is one of those people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
But I don't mind giving you the respect of you being the royalty as long as you are humble enough to receive it.
Yeah, but that's not.
Like when I met Ali, well, he was also,
No, but I think
he was, he was in the condition he was in. But still, even if he wasn't, you never got the sense Ali wasn't humble.
he's one of the people.
He's one of the people. So, whereas Jordan, I don't know am I going to get the Jay Moore Jordan or am I going to get the, the horror story Jordan I've heard?
Well, okay, but let me ask you this question. Do you think Muhammad Ali today, as a young man, could still be one of the people? Or do you think there has to be some, because people have too much access to you, they have too much, no, do you think that you have to have a different kind of guard up now?
You asking me or about Ali?
I'm saying Ali today, could he be that same
Absolutely,
guy?
I think he would. I never got the sense that, I got the sense that he enjoyed the reverence. He enjoyed it. As long as you weren't disrespectful.
Yeah, but people are disrespectful today. People don't have.
I don't know. Do you think you'd be disrespectful against a boxer?
But people don't have a. We see it. People don't have a. What's it called when you have a certain
Boundaries?
Yeah, some boundaries. People don't have boundaries anymore. People get in your business. They're all close to you. They say things that. If you want to, there used to be a time where if you thought you wanted to take a shot and be funny, like you might walk up to and you might look and say, okay, I have a moment, no one else is listening, and try to throw something at somebody that, maybe funny, maybe a little sideways, but thinking, oh, they'll get it, they'll think it's funny. But you wouldn't just go up and like they do now, just in the middle in front of everybody, just try to like put your chest out and say some.
Right, because we didn't have social media, which makes people brave.
Yeah, this is a different time. That's why I don't think. I think that this boundaries that people have put up is to protect them from what people are trying to get their little bit of come up, because if they can do something that they can put on video or they can get there.
Right.
It's different today, and I don't know that an Ali could exist in this world.
It would have been interesting to see how he would have mastered this technology in his favor, because he was always a showman.
Yeah,
he always knew how to work that camera. So how would this device been with him?
It's an interesting idea, because I think that the people, the showmen from back then, there was quite a few showmen. There was people that knew how to manage that career and keep that working. But it wasn't always in their face the same way, and it was controlled by very few people. Now it's controlled by everybody. And how do you take your life back without putting up those boundaries?
And it makes everybody think they're good, because dude, let me tell you, when I see certain things like people do impressions, and I go to the comments, and it's just, oh, you nailed it, oh, that was great, amazing, and as a guy that does impressions, and I'm one of the best at them, that irritates me, because I'm going, what do you hear? If you were singers, you would be terrible. The notes, these people aren't hitting the notes. What are you hearing?
Something.
This is how talented I am, Andy. This dude last night Remember the guy that came up that had like the little turban thing on?
Yeah.
He said he was a comedian.
Yeah.
He says to me, because of you and Godfrey Aries, I do impressions. Then he goes on to do Rodney Dangerfield. He says, before he does it, I do a mean Rodney. He did it for me. I didn't say nothing. In my mind, I'm going, you're not even close. But in his mind, he chose to tell me I do a mean Rodney. You know why? Because he's doing it online, and there are people going, that's amazing. No, it's not even close, dude. Listen, when I did Rodney on Vlad, now, listen, I don't claim that Rodney Dangerfield is one of my best, but I flirt with it. But when I did it, Vlad was like, yo, that's pretty good. But when I tell the story about the Eddie Murphy, you know, oh, no, kid, oh, you're too dirty. Where you gonna go with that kid? Oh. And then cut to Caesar's Palace. Oh, no. Now, I don't know if that's the best, but I'm pretty much there. I'm in the parking lot of the arena. This last night was at home in his closet. He hadn't even gotten in the car to get to the parking lot.
But that's he doesn't have. Okay, this is the other part. He doesn't have the whole world looking at him, going, "Nope, nope."
And that's what's missing.
Yep.
That's what's missing. Because, dude, and I'm telling you, and when I said, I know I'm being funny in my vanity, but when I said, yo, I'm this is how talented I am, dude. And I've given credit. My man Joe Godot, the one who I showed you, the Arnold. There's a few dudes and girls who I've seen do impressions. I go, holy. But for all the people trying to do impressions, you could name on one hand the really good ones, and I'm one of them. But all them motherfuckers out there that's doing them, exactly. Nope. But they got so many people telling them yep that they're delusional.
Because people don't waste. You know what? People didn't used to waste their yeps on nothing. People don't waste their nose on nothing unless you're someone that they can knock down. They're not even. They're scrolling past you.
But before this here, we didn't have access to everybody like that to go yep.
But they just now, if they don't like it, they just scroll past it. They don't even put no in it. But now their friends go yep. So that's what makes people think that they have something that maybe they don't. I'm not saying that they do or they don't. I didn't see it. All I'm saying is that this is how this works. You have a lot of friends, family that will tell you that have always told you are great at what you do, and they'll continue to put yes in there. And people who don't give a shit about you, don't know you, don't care about you, they'll just scroll right past you. Only when you have a come up and there's people that know you who don't know you are the ones that want to knock you down, and they'll put no, that worst impression I've ever heard.
Right.
So this is where we live now. It's a different world. That's why I'm saying I don't know that an Ali works anymore. I don't know if any of the people's champions work anymore because I don't think they're allowed to be with the people.
Well, at least I'll say this, at least with the champions, especially, even an older Mike Tyson, you got to have some common sense about you. At least I would think that if you're a boxer, if you're an MMA, UFC fighter, any kind of badass, you proceed with caution. Yeah. When you go, people want to take their shot, okay, but proceed with caution.
Well, there was a different time, though, too, because back in those days, if someone was disrespectful to you, you could crack a fucker.
And there was no evidence.
And no one said anything about it.
Or could record it.
Because they thought you deserved it for doing that.
Right.
So you weren't held accountable for that. Now, someone does something disrespectful to you, you crack them, now you're in court.
Yeah.
So it's a different world. I don't think the same people can be the same people today. I think it's a different world.
Ollie D, Cat Williams, short email. Hey, A&A, just wanted to see if you guys saw Cat's appearance on Shannon Sharp podcast and what your thoughts are on what he was saying. Ollie D, I know you listen to this podcast consistently, so we already addressed this. I will say this, and I actually take some pride and comfort in knowing this. There's a video I sent to Andy where Dave Chappelle is at a comedy club. And what's interesting, I don't know how what the scenario was, because I know Dave locks up your phones. So I don't know if this was Dave just being there or if this was a Dave Chappelle performance. The phones would have been locked up. But anyway, the footage, you can clearly tell, is coming from a camera that somebody snuck in.
This might have been a D-Ray show then.
Maybe, because D-Ray and Dave were on stage debating the Cat situation. And basically, Dave was saying, yo, Cat was wrong for that. What part of the game is this that you talk about other black men where you can fuck up their paper. And the part that I took pride in is the GOAT of comedy is agreeing with my stance. And I said the same thing. And of course, I've been catching it, goddammit. You go to my post, I am Tony Montana, balcony scene, being attacked by 1,000 Colombians. And it's just me. They are coming for me. And I couldn't wait to read the comments because I'm like, damn, are they going to go after the GOAT? And sure enough, again, to my point, love drama. Oh, Dave is wrong. Dave is blah, blah, blah. Dave is exposing himself. He's one of the Hollywood elites. Oh, he just saying that because now we know Dave put on a dress for Robin Hood men in tights. I don't give a what nobody say. And even if Dave didn't do it, I stand on what I said. I'm not going to switch gears because I'm catching the flack. This ain't the first time I've caught flack. But just to know that the GOAT, we on the same thought process, I take pride in that. I said it before and I'll say it again. What Cat did was unnecessary and it didn't change anything for the betterment of us. So what was the point? What was the point? And Dave even said, you know, he said in the video, you know, you went after all these black men, but why don't you talk about any of these white boys in the game? They're the real gatekeepers.
What's funny is I saw a clip where someone put something out, and it was Gary Owen talking about some of the white dudes, a white dude specifically that was a producer on the Steve Harvey show. And then at the end of the video, it still blames Steve Harvey for it. So I didn't understand it at all. And Gary Owen said, this wasn't on Steve Harvey. He had nothing to do with this.
Right.
So
I saw that. Yeah.
So it's funny how this does, but not. It doesn't change anything you said, but Cat's been talked about now for how many weeks?
Shit, I just saw a clip where some Saturday Night Live did a skit on it.
Cat's more famous now than he's been in a long time. He hasn't been this famous since he fought a junior high school kid. So this is a big deal. So there is a reason why maybe he did it. So take it for whatever you want.
I can't wait till you see the clip because I really want your thoughts.
I gotta watch it
because another thing people said in the comments. And listen, it was hard for me to tell. Was Dave drunk? He seemed a little saucy. So was this rant alcohol fueled? Was he drunk? I don't know.
But then it's honest. It's an honest rant if he even is a little. Right. It just has a little lubrication.
Yeah. I don't know. I would use lubrication.
That's what they call it when you drink a little alcohol.
I know what to call it.
Yeah, lubrication.
It don't mean I would go with it.
Lubrication's a good word for it.
And when I think lubrication, I think anal.
Dude.
You know what I'm saying? What else you need lube for?
Some women need some, You said you're the one who said you like them 60-plus-year-old women.
Hakatui. Know what I'm saying?
I manufacture my own
lube. Hakatui. Let's go out with our boy because it's been a minute. Yip, 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 yip. Hear he. Divine Cass. Scroll. It's not even that big of a scroll. Prince versus Michael. My Hasidic homeboys, Happy New Year. Let's see if I can keep this short. New Year's resolution. That was his New Year's resolution, to keep it short. Michael Jackson did play basketball, and he'd run circles around Prince. See his music video with Michael Jordan. Nah, nigga, nah. You talking about for Space Jam. I don't think that was for Space Jam. The song was called Jam. Michael Jackson can't. Prince is a better ball player than Michael Jackson. That's not CGI or a stand-in. That's Michael. There's video of him playing with his brothers, and my MJ had handles. Now, that I didn't see, so maybe. Second, Michael Jackson was a musical genius. Michael may have not played a variety of instruments like Prince, but he did compose all his music. This includes sounding out the sequences for the drummers and guitar players, and then there's the background vocals. Look up how he did Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Mike will always be recognized as the king of pop, while Prince will be recognized for Dave Chappelle skits. No disrespect to the legend. He's recognized a little bit more than that. Keep your pen pan strong and your hoe train long, Dewan. Beep, 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 beep. That was Devon Curse. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday on Michael Jackson.
Yeah, you know what though? There's some more to this though. There is a little bit more to this, and I like. Listen, I'm not going to take. You're not taking away the king of pop from Michael Jackson. I'm not trying to do that with saying that I think Prince was a great musician within himself, and I do believe Prince carved out his own lane and had everything that was Prince, and no one has ever been able to duplicate that or imitate that. But I also think Michael had some advantages, like. Michael, and we didn't talk about this on the podcast. Michael brought Brooke Shields with him to the Grammys.
If I'd have brought Brooke Shields to the Grammys, y'all know Brooke got that day.
So this that's a whole different lane that Prince was in that Michael Jackson wasn't in.
Right.
And that also contributed to him and the crossover and what he was able to do.
Right.
So, you know, what I'm saying is you can keep Michael Jackson as the king of pop. I'm not going to deny that. But stop shitting on Prince. Prince is not. If Michael's the king, Prince is still the prince.
That's good. I see what you did there.
So I'm not trying to take anything away from Michael by saying that I think that Prince is underappreciated in this industry.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I think we're really bad about. Elevating Prince does not mean devaluing Michael Jackson.
I don't even think Michael Jackson was capable of being devalued.
Okay, so then there should be no problem in this statement that I think Prince was a better musician.
Listen, as far as the magnet, nobody beats Prince. But I have never seen grown men faint and cry at a Prince concert. Michael Jackson made grown men bawl.
And then we'll talk worldwide. I don't know what Prince's effect in Japan is, let's say. I know what Michael's effect. And saying that is, I didn't have to seek that out. It just happens. You know that because you see it on the news, you see it on TV. I don't know what Prince's effect is. There is no denying who Michael Jackson is. I think we undervalue someone who is as talented as Prince at the same time. Had there been a different generation, like let's say a Jordan and a LeBron James, maybe they would be looked at differently. They were at the same time, though.
We in Germany loved Prince's assless jeans. It was a great way when we go out to the clubs at night and we party. I'm Hans and my brother Schnitzel. And we would go out. We would go to the clubs in Prince's ass-out jeans, and that's how we would attract other men. Says, who is that beautiful blonde specimen with his cheeks out? It's my brother Schnitzel. When doves cry. I think that's it, man.
Is that it? Okay, I'm gonna end this because I want to end this whole problem with this debate, black and white, me, slavery, whatever it is, racial, whatever this tension is. Listen, really quick, I'm gonna get this.
Say it to Schnitzel.
I'm gonna get this over in a few sentences. Obviously, America still has a problem with this. Obviously, can't be talked about it without any racial tensions. I understand that. America needs to take accountability for what it did wrong. It needs to do, and I hate to use Germany as an example, but Germany has taken responsibility. They have removed things that shouldn't be where they are, should have been taken down. They have made museums to show what they have done wrong, and they have taken accountability and labeled people as such. Thomas Jefferson should be able to be talked in the same way as someone who did something dramatic to start a country, but he should be talked about for what he was and the contradictions of who he was. It should be taught in schools. It should be taught everywhere. We must accept everything that's wrong with the country so that we can uplift what is right with this country. And that's the problem. That's why we can't talk about it, because everybody thinks it's some side kind of language that we're trying to do one way or the other. And there's a lot of people that won't take responsibility for what this country has done. It was wrong, and it should be done that way. And until we do that, we're always going to be in the same position.
Listen, I got to ask you this because it just came to me. You know how much I love Bill Maher in real time. But I've also said there are times when I think that Bill Maher has a very if snobbish is the right word, nose in the air attitude of where like he's never wrong. There was a rapper, I can't remember the rapper, who was on his show. I saw this clip. And he basically was talking about how, reparations need to be paid for what my ancestors went through. And Bill takes a pause and goes, yeah, but you're not your ancestors, so why should it be given to you? And of course, the audience applauded. And dude looked dumbfounded and didn't have a comeback. And I was watching this and I said to myself, if that was me, I would have said, yeah, but your people benefit from it today. That's why. But the dude didn't have a comeback. Was Bill wrong in saying that?
Bill's not wrong, but he's not right. And this is where the problem becomes. This is where the problem becomes because we never acknowledged it in the first place. So how do you fix a problem that you don't acknowledge existed in the first place? Reparations, to me, this is a tough one, and no one's going to like this one, but I'll say it. I don't think that there's reparations for slavery because it was legal. It was legal. It was sold. It was sold from Africans. Sold Africans. They were brought here. It was legal. I didn't say it was right. I said it was legal. And you can't. How do you hold someone responsible for doing something legal? You change the laws, but you can't hold them responsible for something that they did was legal. Where I do think reparations do come into place is for Jim Crow laws. I think that you can find the people that and that is touchable. That is not when Bill Maher says your ancestors. This is not your ancestors now. We're talking about a couple generations at most. And you have deliberately, after a war was had, laws were passed, you figured out a way to around end and move a whole group of people backwards and held them back for almost 100 years. Now, and this is important because this is one of the things that the guy said. He said, left with no money and they weren't really free. No, man, you were free. You were so free that you had some of the best economic engines in the country that were Black Wall Street, that were making money. You were producing doctors. You were producing lawyers. You were producing. And
how'd that turn out?
And they took it down. So for that, I think reparations are in order. I think you could go back and you can find those people and that family, which is only 2 generations out, and that should be done. And how you can do it, you don't even have to do it with cash. You could do it with no taxation to those people. You could do it with scholarships and college funding. There's a lot of ways it could be done. I'm not saying any of what I just said was correct as far as how to give reparations. I'm just saying there's other ways to do it. It doesn't even have to be cash out of pocket. It could be incentivizing so that people can benefit for the loss that they didn't have. They should be able to benefit. The children of those families should be able to benefit because that is the around end that I am the most embarrassed about because that's close to my time. This is where I can touch it. I was born in 65. There wasn't civil rights until 62.
Right.
So this is in my time period. So I don't see how you could, that one, I don't know how anybody would argue that one.
Listen, folks, to any DJs out there, people that put together and produce tracks, I will cash app you $200 if you can put together a compilation of some of the shit that Andy says with some of these words and make a beat to it.
What did I say? What word did I use wrong?
Said, if I'm could touch it.
I can, dude, that was...
if somebody could...
touch it.
If I'm could touch it. If I'm could touch it. And then just put together a bunch of Andy's crazy Mexicans. Mexican. If I'm could touch it. And just put a track together. Yo, dude, I would pay for that.
I'm serious, though. But yeah, I think that would be funny if you did that. I don't speak very well.
Aluminum. If I'm could touch it. Aluminum.
I don't enunciate.
Yeah, just all his ups, man. His up enunciation. And put a track to that. Oh my God, I would pay for that. That might be the new podcast intro.
Oh, that wouldn't be bad, actually.
You know what I'm saying? If I could touch it. All right, that's it.
Where we're going to be. Let's do this real quick. I don't know how we're going to do this. Guys, again, February next week we're supposed to be in. You're listening to this. We're supposed to be in Corpus Christi. Guys, that show was canceled. Get your ticket money back. We're not going to be out there. February 15th to the 18th, we're going to be at the Helium in Buffalo, New York. February 23rd to the 24th, Funny Bone in Albany, New York. March 9th, Holland Civic Center in Michigan. Our first time back out there in quite a while. Please, guys, come on out. Get those tickets now. Got to lock that date down, man. March 15th to the 16th, Cincinnati Funny Bone in Liberty Township.
If I could touch it.
March 22nd to the 23rd, Funny Bone in Virginia Beach.
Mexicans.
March 29th to the 31st, Funny Bone in Columbus, Ohio.
Aluminum.
April 5th, we're going to be at the Parker in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. April 11th, we're going to be at, this is the beginning of our swing in Canada. April 11th, River Cree in Enoch, Alberta, Canada. April 12th, Grey Eagle in Calgary. April 13th to the 14th, we're back in the States at Syracuse at the Funny Bone. April 15th, back in Canada, Dartforth Music, Toronto. April 19th to the 21st, Aries, can I get you anything? We're going to be in Cleveland. Improv.
Just a bit outside.
That's April 19th to the 21st. April 27th, back in Canada at Bronson Center, Ottawa. April 28th, Olympia, Montreal, Quebec. And April 30th at Bella Rose in Halifax, Nova Scotia. May 2nd through the 5th, we're going to be at the Helium in Portland, Oregon. May 9th, we're going to be at the Meyer Theater in Green Bay, Wisconsin. May 11th at the Wilbur in Boston. May 17th through 18th, Toledo Funny Bone. And May 24th, Funny Bone in Richmond, Virginia. And I was trying to find when we're going to be back, and I don't think we have it in here. That's why I can't find it. When are we going to be at the Helium Center in Madison Square Garden in New York? What's it?
May 18th.
Yeah, I don't think it's on my list here. So May 18th. Well, that's when they say we're in Toledo. Maybe
May 18th? No, May 18th.
Okay, scratch that Toledo. May 18th, we're going to be at the. We're not going to be in Toledo. They're probably rescheduling that, and we're going to be at the Helium. No, not Helium. The Hulu Center in. Where the hell is it?
Which one is it?
The one in New York.
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I want
The
you to
Hulu
see.
Theater.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just was.
I thought you were going to throw something in there good.
I was caught up. I was reading.
And throws a lob. Oh, look, Scotty decided not to come into the game.
Hey, man, Mike didn't make every shot. I've missed 9,000 shots in my career. I failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. Dude, real quick before we go, I got to play something. Because, again, I know y'all motherfuckers be thinking Aries be on his old man on the porch. But this is what I mean. I try to back my shit up with facts. Listen to this real quick, what my man says about rap. Hold up. Come on, yeah. Motherfucker said, now you ponder why the genre is in a decline. Everything is disposable, nothing worthy of a rewind. Lyrics, man. Lyrics, people. What you talking about? You heard what he said? Yo, rewind that. Let me hear that again. Today's rap, garbage. Nothing worthy of a rewind. Damn, that's it.
Spears and Steinberg.
Thanks for listening to the Spears and Steinberg podcast. If you'd like to know who's responsible for this shit, it was hosted by Ari Spears and Andy Steinberg, produced by Steve Merrick and Anthony Holmes, executive producer, Big Papa, Robert Kelly, and Matt Kleinschmidt for the Laugh Button podcast. For more information on where to find us on the internet, visit SpearsburgPod.com.